And you need to live like it. And people look at your life and they can tell whether you believe it or don't. They can tell whether it's just an idea that you're slightly ashamed of. Or if you really believe that the answer to our brokenness, that the answer to our friends' suffering and confusion is Jesus. Now, that can become a slogan as well. Jesus answer, well, what does that even mean? How am I supposed to, heal my soul? You give me these bromides and these facts. And we understand it's a little bit more complicated, right? It's to say, Jesus, you've got to show me. And those of us who are in the process of being shown by Jesus, we can say, he definitely does lead us, and we can say it's definitely not that easy because we're confused day by day. We have to keep asking him, did I get this wrong? We screw up, we make mistakes, we have to apologize. It's not easy, but the point is that just because it's not easy doesn't mean that it's not true. It doesn't mean that it's not worth sharing. If people are starving and you've got bread, and you're not trying to get them some bread, you clearly don't love them. You clearly don't care about them. You clearly don't really even believe you have bread, do you? Well, we're living in a culture that has so dismissed the claims of Christian faith that I think in writing the book Miracles and in the response to this Wall Street Journal, it kind of emboldened me to say, enough is enough, actually. We have way more information and evidence than we need to believe what we believe and to stop pretending like who's to say. Either this is something meant to bless everybody, or it's nothing. And if it's meant to bless everybody, and not to harm them, then we ought to live like it. We ought to be bold and to say that, who am I? It doesn't even matter. It's who is God? What is truth? Because that affects you. And I'll tell you who you are. You're somebody that in his mercy, God didn't just die for you. He came into your life, most of you, and said, I want to use you to be an agent of healing and truth in this broken world. There are people dying for what you have. Are you sure you have it? Take it out of your pocket, dust it off, hold it up. There are people that are interested in what you have. You're not just living out your private little faith. If you really believe it, and if you need the intellectual background to do some research, read some stuff so you know that what you believe really is true. Because folks, it is true. It's embarrassing how true it is. When I did the research for this book, I was embarrassed because it convicted me that I kind of act like, well, I sort of think it's true. My goodness, the multiverse theory is so ridiculous. We should be laughing at everyone who brings it up. We should. Make them defend it and see how ridiculous. It makes the flying spaghetti monster look very plausible. I could go on, and of course I have. It's been a tremendous privilege to be here. I can hardly tell you. It means so much to me that you asked me to speak. I thank Jesus for giving me something to say if I've said anything. And I do just want to say, in conclusion, Christians have to be distinguished by their fearless pursuit of and declaration of what is true. We don't have anything to hide. If this is true, we need to live like it. People are dying for their faith in Jesus right now. We have to live like that. The story of Bonhoeffer gives us an example of somebody so brilliant. He lived his faith, and because he lived his faith, his life is today transforming lives because he lived it. He was an integrated human being. It wasn't just cerebral. He lived his faith out. People who are not Christians, they look at his life and they just say, wow. That's why we're here. That's who I am. People are supposed to look at my life and say, wow, it's not about Eric. He seems to believe in something bigger than himself, something eternal. I can catch glimpses of that sometimes through him. That's who I'm supposed to be. So Bonhoeffer's final line, is, this I know, Lord, I am thine. Let that be how we live. That people say, well, this much I know, you belong to him. God bless you. Thank you.
We have Grace in the competitive role in General Motors. We have inclusion, exclusion, and identity in growth and role classroom. That's our first round of panels. Immediately following that, we have lunch. There'll be a book signed by our Metaxas at the same time.